Right, so we now have two new leaders in Wisconsin. The polls have been rung before. We know that. Hello, Michigan. And for a closer look at the trail that is in the Badger State, I'm joined now by Jessie Opoien, a political reporter with Madison-based Capital Times. Jessie, thanks for joining us. What fascinating times we live in, especially when it comes to presidential politics. I just wanted to pick up on this latest poll, Marquette University poll, that says that look, Ted Cruz is surging ahead, 40% to Trump's 30%, and that's a 21% jump for Cruz since the last poll was taken. Why do you think that is?
Well, Ted Cruz has had a very strong ground game here in Wisconsin. Earlier on in the race, a lot of Wisconsin Republicans and the establishment here were supporting Marco Rubio pretty strongly, and a lot of those supporters have come around to Cruz in these last few weeks. And that's not to say that there weren't a fair amount of Cruz supporters to begin with, but Wisconsin, I think, kind of sees itself as the last potential place to put the brakes on a Trump candidacy, and the Republican movement has mobilized and has been working pretty hard to get people excited about Ted Cruz here. I
mean, generally, endorsements I don't think count for a whole lot, but how much did Scott Walker's endorsement count in Wisconsin for Ted Cruz?
Right. I mean, that's sort of a question we can ask about any endorsement, but and the Marquette poll that we've been talking about, that was taken before Walker had made his endorsement. Among the Cruz supporters and Trump supporters that I've talked to, some think it's going to matter a little bit. I haven't met anyone who's been swayed by it necessarily, but you know, if it's a question between Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, the Walker endorsement could either push people to Trump or push people to Cruz, depending on what kind of voter you're looking at. But, you know, Walker's approval numbers are going up a little bit here. He's back up to 43%. He's starting to get a little bit more popular in the state, so he may be bringing some people along with him on that.
All right, let's turn to the Democrats. You know, as we speak, Hillary Clinton is just up the street from us in Harlem. She seems to be looking beyond Bernie Sanders in Wisconsin. Does that hurt her? She's slightly trailing Bernie Sanders in this poll.
Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin has been a strong state for Bernie Sanders for a while. Back in July, we saw, at the time, a record-setting rally with 10,000 people here for him. His numbers here in terms of rally attendance have been a little bit smaller, but still very, very strongly attended. Hillary Clinton's been in the state a little bit this week. She did some events in Madison, Milwaukee, Green Bay. While Bernie Sanders kind of continues to keep doing that, she seems to be focusing on the next side ahead, but her campaign went up with some new ads today, so they're certainly still putting resources here in Wisconsin, but it does seem, in terms of actually having the candidate on the ground, trying to make an appeal to voters, Bernie Sanders' campaign is outdoing her a little bit there.
And he's also outdoing her in the energy department. I'd say he's got the momentum right now, the big mo, as they say. Hillary doesn't seem to have that. The question is, can Sanders voters back Hillary? Because she seems to be, she would like everyone to believe she's the presumed nominee. She's still having a hard time putting Bernie Sanders away, let's be honest. But could Sanders supporters jump on board with Hillary?
For the most part, I think yes. You do meet, I guess, the occasional voter who finds themselves undecided somehow between Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, or maybe finds themselves jumping back and forth on that line a little bit. But at the end of the day, you know, a Democratic voter in Wisconsin is not likely to cross over to the other side and cast a vote for any of those candidates. I think we are going to, if she does become the nominee, as people expect, I think we're going to see most of her support carry over from Bernie Sanders voters here.
Fascinating stuff, isn't it? Jessie Opoien, thank you so much. A Capital Times political reporter. Thanks for taking the time out to talk with us today. Appreciate it.